Hello everyone, this is Zach, your host into the world of all things wild. Now we're in the month of October, which means a lot of things. Hockey is back, awesome, can't wait, go Ducks. Playoff baseball is going on right now. Unfortunately, my Giants were nowhere near postseason contention, but oh well, next year's an even year, believe in. Halloween is right around the corner, and that means that things are starting to get spooky. People's fears are often brought out around Halloween. We have horror movies, we have haunted houses, mazes, things like that. And it's not just about fearing things like clowns, fire, drowning, commitment, but it is also about the animals that we fear. But why is it that we fear some animals more than others? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in today's Creature Feature. Now, some animals, it makes a lot of sense as to why we fear them. Sharks, crocodiles, lions, tigers, bears. Oh my, yeah, I did it. But others, it doesn't make quite as much sense rationally, because sometimes fears of certain animals, snakes and spiders, and even things like birds, there is no rational reason to have a phobia for these animals. Myself, I am an arachnophobic, which means I am terrified of spiders. And in the rational part of my brain, I can see a little garden spider crawling along and think, wow, he's not going to hurt me. But the irrational part of my brain that has the phobia says that it needs to die with fire. But why is this? Well, fear stems from an evolutionary survival mechanism. Fear keeps us alive. It keeps us out of dangerous situations, unless you're like a thrill seeker who goes and jumps out of airplanes and things. Then you kind of thrive on that adrenaline. But it all has to do with fight or flight. And the fight, obviously, is we're gearing up all of the adrenaline that we have, and we're going to take on whatever it is coming to get us, or we are going to use that adrenaline and run in the exact opposite direction. So way back in prehistory, there was a lot for primitive man to fear in terms of big cats, large predators, large reptiles, dangerous spiders and snakes. So it makes sense that over time our brains would become hardwired to fear things like felines and canines. After all, before the domestication of the dog, our real only interaction with predatory animals was running from them, from things like Smilodon or the saber-toothed cat or dire wolves or short-faced bears. So it makes a little bit of sense as to why someone would have a phobia for felines or canines. Although people who are afraid of, say, the domestic dog or house cats, that phobia has become a little bit haywired in our systems. And we are translating seeing a house cat or a domestic dog, and our brains are still thinking back to 100,000 years ago, and they are seeing a wolf or a lion, and our brains are going, dude, you gotta get away from that. Same thing goes on with spiders and reptiles. We know nowadays that it is extremely unlikely, especially with things that have advanced in the medical field, that a bite from a spider will kill you. A bite from a snake, the chances are so down. We are in the best possible time to get bit by one of those things in terms of medical technology. I'm not saying go out and stick your hand in a Gibbon viper pit, but our brains are hardwired to be afraid because we want to survive. The underlying desire for every living creature on this planet is to survive, and that's where we get our phobias. Our brains are hardwired to be afraid of certain animals. It's to the point in some poor people that if you have a phobia, I've heard of people who've had phobia of birds, that even seeing like feathers on the ground will trigger this intense fear that might have developed from our ancestors, or even before our ancestors, being afraid of large predatory birds of prey that might swoop down and cause us harm or even carry off a small child. Ugh. So there you have it. I mean, it's as basic as it sounds. Fear has kept us alive for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. And the extreme phobias are just those fears ramped up and in the reddish. And it's just our own minds trying their hardest to keep us alive. Maybe simple, but it's one of the best theories out there as to why we have such extreme fears. And that is going to wrap it up for this creature feature. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to know more about the channel, check out the links in the description. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If I don't see you, I mean, I'm going to see you, but if you don't check out any more videos before the 31st, have a happy Halloween. What are some of the animals you're afraid of if you have any fears? Drop that down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. As always, this has been Zach, your host for all things wild. Have a wild day, everyone.